So it's another week and another Kingdom chapter. Chapter 860. Spoilers are out, so as always, if you enjoy these videos, make sure to sub up and help me push towards 2,100 subs. The chapter starts off with Jin and Tan on the front line. Jin explains to Tan that the arrow he just fired is basically invisible. Not literally, but in the sense that it's almost impossible to see or track. He says these shots are on a completely different level, even better than the arrows their father used. So he tells Tan they're not going to move from their position. They're going to hold this spot and take down the enemy from right there, sniping instead of charging in. Meanwhile, over on the Zhao side, the soldiers rush over to Seikon to check if he's okay after that hit. Seikon answers quietly, clearly shocked. He mutters that the arrow that hit him, the one Jin just fired, is very similar to his own white arrow technique, their special invisible style arrow. You can tell he's surprised that someone else can recreate something that resembles his personal peak technique. After Seikon gets tagged, the Zhao soldiers around him start panicking and looking toward the Qin side. They point out that Shin and the High Shin unit have suddenly vanished from their sight. It looks like they've pulled back or shifted position. The soldiers are confused and start wondering if Shin and his unit already knew Seikon was posted there and are deliberately moving to avoid his line of fire. Seikon and the men around him notice another arrow flying in, but this one is weird. Instead of a normal sharp arrowhead, this one has a blunt, helmet-like tip with two protrusions, and there's even a rope tied to the end of it. It's clearly not meant to pierce like a regular killing arrow. Everyone immediately recognizes this isn't a standard shot, it's some kind of special tool or technique. Then we cut to a flashback with Sujin, Jin, and Tan. Sujin has them sit down because he wants to explain something serious to them. He brings up something called the 10 Bows Challenge, basically a trial or training method tied to the legacy of the 10 Bows. Jin already recognizes the name, and Sujin is surprised he's heard of it. We then see a spread of multiple strange arrowheads laid out in front of them, all kinds of bizarre shapes and functions. They're not normal war arrows at all. There are so many weird designs that Tan is visibly shocked just looking at them. Sujin tells Jin and Tan something very serious. If they ever hear the sound of a certain special arrow, they must accept the challenge immediately. It's a tradition, or more like a deadly rule, tied to the legacy of the 10 Bows. He explains that when he was their age, he unexpectedly got dragged into one of these 10 Bows challenges himself. That experience shaped him so much that afterward, he created all these unusual arrowhead replicas to train with. He stresses that while his copies aren't perfect, his own master used the real, authentic 10 Bows arrowheads, the ones capable of insane feats that normal archers could never replicate. Sujin warns them that this challenge is not a game. It's literally life or death. Accepting it means they're stepping into a duel of skill, technique, and instinct where one mistake means dying on the spot. The flashback ends there. Back in the present, Jin is shocked that Seikon isn't reacting, or at least not reacting in the way he expected. Jin tells Tan to hand him the special arrowhead so he can fire the next part of the challenge. But before he even takes it, Jin notices Saikon's response, meaning Seikon understands exactly what arrow Jin fired and realizes he's now being pulled into a 10 Bows duel. Jin speaks first, telling Tan with full confidence that he can protect Shin right now, meaning he's going to force Seikon to focus entirely on them, not the High Shin unit or Shin himself. Jin wants to shift the entire battlefield's attention toward their duel so Shin isn't targeted by Seikon's lethal phantom arrows. Tan, realizing the gravity of what's happening, tells Jin that this isn't just a normal archery exchange. This is a true 10 Bows challenge, a sacred, deadly confrontation between elite archers. He reminds Jin that their opponent isn't some random bowman. Seikon is a monster, the absolute pinnacle of archers in all of China. Tan brings up their father's words. When a bowman reaches the absolute peak of mastery, they can read the movement of the opponent's arrow. He asks Jin if he's capable of doing that, but Jin shuts that down. He says there's no time to reach that level of insight or replicate their father's peak skill in the middle of a real battle. They are not here to seek enlightenment, they're here to survive. Then Tan asks the big question, can you win? Jin's answer is honest. He admits he doesn't know if he can win alone. Against Seikon one-on-one, he might not stand a chance. But then he says the key line, if we're both together, I think we can win. Meaning Jin believes the only way to defeat Seikon the greatest archer alive, is through the combined strength, precision, and timing of both brothers acting as one. After the brothers discuss the 10 bows challenge and the insane difficulty of winning, Jin reassures Tan by saying that their father once accomplished the impossible. He actually defeated one of the 10 bows in the past. Because of that, Jin believes he can rise to that level too and face Sikhon head on. With that determination, Jin starts climbing up a tall rock to formally issue the challenge, the traditional way to begin a 10 bows duel. But before Jin can reach the top, Tan suddenly pulls him back down. Tan immediately climbs up in Jin's place. Then from the high ground, Tan shouts out the official challenge to Sikhon, declaring his identity with full pride. He calls himself Sotan, the son of the greatest disciple of Shunge, Shuke, one of the legendary 10 arrows. He announces that he comes directly from the 10 arrows lineage, meaning he carries the blood, the training, and the heritage to participate in this sacred duel. After Tan announces himself and officially issues the 10 bows challenge, Sikhon finally responds. He identifies himself as one of the 10 arrows, specifically Sikhon, the very first and strongest among them. The moment Jin and Tan hear his name, both brothers freeze. They instantly recognize who he is, the top-ranked archer of the 10 bows, the absolute pinnacle. Jin panics because this is the worst possible opponent Tan could have challenged. Jin immediately calls out to Tan, telling him to stop and come down from the rock because Sikhon is far too dangerous. But Jin also realizes that Tan is trembling. Tan fully understands the weight of who he's facing. Still, Tan refuses to back down. He tells Jin that stepping down now would break the sacred rules of the 10 bows challenge, meaning he has no choice but to continue. Tan stays in position. Sikhon prepares his bow. Both archers release their arrows at the same moment, and the chapter ends right as their attacks cross toward each other. The final note reveals there will be no chapter next week. So that's about everything for this Kingdom spoiler video. Another crazy setup chapter. And now we're heading straight into a historic 10 bows showdown. Tan stepping up against the strongest of the 10 arrows is actually insane. And the fact that the chapter cuts right as they fire makes next week hurt even more. Even though, of course, there is no chapter next week. But if you enjoyed the breakdown, make sure to sub up. A huge chunk of you watch every week, but still aren't subscribed, so hit that button and help me push toward 2,100 subs. Drop a like, share the vid, and let me know in the comments whether you think Tan survives this challenge or if Jin has to jump in. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.